Welcome, my name is Bjorn. Thank you for joining me today. We're going to be looking at a build that I feel like would be more akin to Thor. That really depends on your interpretation. If you're going off of real life lore of Thor, or if you're going off of the MCU version of Thor, that's up to you. But in the end, I would recommend that this is, again, just a build that's akin to Thor. Build up your own backstory, build up your own, character, and make them your own. Let's skip over that. We're going to get over into a little bit of what I feel like this character needs. And that character needs a little bit of multiclassing. So the requirements for this character in multiclassing is going to be at least a strength of 13. This will cover both our Barbarian and Fighter. And a wisdom of 13. This will cover our Cleric. Not too much to multiclass. Not too many multi-classing requirements. I really like that. You get 3 classes out of it. So for skills, I'd recommend getting up as high as we can. Obviously, strength and con are amazing. Dexterity, of course, is possibly your second. Intelligence is probably going to be your dump stat, as with most barbarians are. Wisdom, again, we can't have below a 13. And our charisma, possibly another dump stat. And the reason why, if people are new to this, I can see people who are interested in trying to get into the game and finding something that they can relate to or think it's fucking awesome because Thor is pretty awesome. The reason why we'd want our dex so high as well is because our dex and con act as our AC modifiers. So with the Barbarian, we get our unarmored defense. That means that all of a sudden we add our dex modifier plus our constitution modifier, which in this case is a 4 plus a 5, which is a 9, plus 10, which is a 19 total. So effectively we have an AC of 19 without wearing any armor. Pretty impressive. Now let's go ahead and jump right on into the race. Now, it's pretty obvious to me that Goliath is the best fit for this. A lot of people, I'm not sure, know a lot too much about the in real life, I'm not sure what to call it, the in real life theology of Thor, I guess. The lore of Thor. He's mostly giant, which is ironic because he hates giants. Odin was half giant. His mother, her ancestry is pretty much full giant. The other thing with this is that the Goliaths within the D&D universe is that they're enslaved by fucking giants themselves. So you can build a redemption story or a breaking out of slavery story tied into your character's background, or maybe you've just escaped, and you're trying to build strength and build a force to go back and deal with this evil creature that's enslaved your people. That, again, is up to you and your DM to work out a backstory together. It's really fun to claim a backstory and to roleplay that out. So, of course, with this, we gain a +2 to strength, +1 to con. Amazing. We get natural athlete, having proficiency in athletic skill. Stone's endurance, roll a d12, reduce that damage, and also add your constitution modifier. Another good reason to have your con up so high. Powerful build, carrying weight increase, and mountain board. All amazing traits to have for a physical presence like Thor. Now, before we get into the class, I just want to go over the backstory of my choice. I decided to go folk hero. It kind of made sense to me because Thor, the lore of Thor within real life is he's represented by carpentry. He's represented by agriculture. And that's where you gain animal handling survival. We get land vehicles here, which is a nice benefit. Gonna have to find a big fucking land vehicle though. A big fucking warhorse to, carry Goliath, but I'm sure you can find one. And here is the class that I've decided to go with. So as we can see, we end off with a Path of the Storm Herald Barbarian, level 15, a War Domain Cleric, level 2, and a Battle Master Fighter, level 3. I'm not gonna necessarily get into when the best point of entering these classes into your build is, because personally I like to get my Barbarian up all the way first, but you might want to go ahead and get your War Domain Cleric or Battle Master Fighter in right away because they're both pretty dope classes to have with this build. But I really liked getting up to 15, and I'll explain why in a little bit. So of course, with the first level proficiencies, I decided to go with Intimidation and Nature, again leaning towards that being an intimidating presence and also still being able to be one with the land and all that kind of jazzy shit. And I really wanted to play that role-playing side up where you're a brute, you're a barbarian, and you're vicious and terrifying on the battlefield, but there's a softer, gentler side to you, and that you understand nature, and you understand how to handle all these this natural shit. Maybe you don't communicate all too well with people, but you're better suited towards the more natural world. Of course, the bread and butter of the Barbarian, we get our Rage at level 1. This is an amazing ability. If you haven't played a Barbarian yet, get ready to rage. And of course, we get the unarmored defense. I've already went over that. We get the reckless attack at level 2. So we give ourselves advantage on attacks, except we give the enemies advantage on attacks against us in turn. Amazing ability to have reckless as much as you want. You'll probably have a group, someone that can heal. You'll be raging. You'll be taking half damage. You're gonna be getting critical hits all the time. It's gonna be fun as shit. We get Danger Sense. We get advantage on dexterity saving throws also at level 2 that we can see or hear, like spells and shit like that. And of course, at level 3, this is where we get our Primal Path, Path of the Storm Herald. I wasn't all too interested in this at first, to be honest with you, but I got into it a bit more and I really like it. So of course, there's different primal paths that you can take. There's the desert, there's the sea, and then there's the tundra. You can change these out whenever you gain a level in this class. I would recommend maybe talking out with your DM and see if you can't make a way to possibly meditate on something for several days. Like make it a role play within like you converting over to this other primal path. Because if you're going by milestone leveling or even just by killing shit leveling can be campaigns between, and your environment can change completely. Personally, I don't mind just going with the sea entirely, but maybe you want to go with the desert or the tundra at some point. I'm not going to go too far into that. I'm not going to in-depth class review here, but I would like to see that there could possibly be a house rule in which, again, you can convert yourself over to these. This way you can be more effective in certain scenarios, and not necessarily that you have to be at the sea, or you have to be at the desert, or in the tundra, but that you're able to benefit your party with the abilities that you're given during certain situations. Now, for the first ASI, of course, I went with the feat, Great Weapon Master. I want to kill shit on this character. That's it. Not much more to be said. I want to kill shit. I want to be badass, and Great Weapon Master is an amazing way to do that. And then this adds on to us with getting extra attacks. So all of a sudden, we have 4 rolls at 5th level. That's assuming you're recklessing. And there's a pretty good chance that you're either going to kill something because barbarians do insane amounts of damage, or you're going to get a critical hit. And you'll be able to get that extra attack, and reckless and possibly critical hit again. Also at 5th level, we gain our fast movement. I love this. 10 feet of extra movement. While not in heavy armor, you're never going to be wearing heavy armor with this character. We get the Storm Soul ability at level 6. I'm going to have to tab over for a second because for some reason it doesn't show the full effect of this right here. Alright, so we can see here at the top, this is the Storm Soul ability. At 6th level, the Storm grants you benefits even when your aura is not activated. The benefits are based on the environment you choose for your Storm aura. So for myself, I gain resistance to lightning damage, and I can breathe underwater. You also gain a swimming speed of up to 30 feet. Might be able to convince your DM so that instead of it being 30 feet, it's your entire movement speed. I feel like that wouldn't be too overpowered. I mean, by this point, we only have 40 feet of movement speed. It's not too bad, but that's up to you. Maybe you might be able to convince them. 30 feet still pretty impressive as opposed to just having 20 feet. And of course, these are the other abilities with the desert. You gain resistance to fire damage, and you gain resistance to cold damage. And there's a whole bunch of other abilities that come with it. And this is why I mentioned earlier why you may want to talk with your DM and feel like, yes, like there is a way for me to get it without leveling up. Because again, it could be sessions and sessions between. You could be in all sorts of different scenarios in which maybe fire resistance to you would be more beneficial than lightning resistance, which I could see coming up more often, or possibly cold damage resistance. 7th level, we gain our Feral Instincts, pretty great. For our 8th level ASI, I decided to go with another feat. I went with the Athlete feat. This time, I decided to go with increasing my dex score, because in this make-believe world, I rolled 2 18s, and this could be the point in which you just invest into more strength, or more dexterity, really up to what you need. At level 9, we get our first Brutal Critical. Anytime we crit, we roll an extra damage die. Pretty fucking awesome. At level 10, we get our Shielding Storm, and again, it doesn't exactly show everything here. So as we can see here at the top, this is the Shielding Storm in its whole. For the sea, when you hit a creature in your aura with an attack, you can use a reaction to force that creature to make a strength saving throw. On a failed save, the creature is knocked prone as if struck by a wave. Knocking something prone is fantastic. It means we don't need to reckless for that attack. This also gives advantage to any other melee characters within your group. The only time I would recommend maybe not doing this is if the case is that your party is mostly made up of ranged characters, because it's the opposite effect all of a sudden. Like, they'll have disadvantages on their attack. So it depends. Or you can tell those ranged characters to play a real class and just reroll a barbarian with you. And I'm sure people will be copacetic about it and they'll understand. So at 11th level, getting our Relentless Rage. This is a fucking insane ability where if you drop to 0, you can make a DC 10 con save. If you make it, you drop 1 hit point instead. The DC raises by 5 each time before a short rest or a long rest, and then it resets to 10. This is nuts. This is insane. There are barbarians that live through shit that they should not have lived through. And this is why I think having a higher con score as opposed to a strength score, because there are ways to get your strength up with a Belt of Giant Strength, for example. It's just fucking insane what you can do with this. Just stay alive through bullshit that you shouldn't be living through. It's beautiful. At 12th level, we get another ASI. I decided to go with increasing a few scores. In this make-believe world, I just increased the con by 1. It was a 19 out of 20. And wisdom by from a 13 to a 14. More modifiers. Seems pretty good to me. This is also probably where you might want to go both con. It's really what you need. All these ASIs, they're up for change. I would recommend just having the Great Weapon Master feat at some point. That's about the only one I would recommend having. 13, we get another Brutal Critical, so we can add 2 dice now to this Brutal Critical roll. Pretty awesome, more damage. At 14th level, we gain Raging Storm. The power of the storm you channel grows mightier, lashing out at your foes. The effect is based on the environment you choose, so guess what? So over here, as we can see with the Raging Storm ability, there's of course the 3 choices. We'll go over the C. When you hit a creature in your aura with an attack, you can use your reaction to force that creature to make a strength saving throw, or be knocked prone as if by a wave. I may be realizing now that I may have just mixed up Shielding Storm and Raging Storm earlier. But I'm doing a Barbarian review, or class guide, so I feel like that's appropriate. So yeah, Shielding Storm, you extend your aura to other people. So this is another reason why you might want to be able to change up and blah 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 blah. Raging Storm, this is where you get the ability to knock someone prone. I'm going to pretend that didn't happen and move on. And of course, at 15th level, we gain our Persistent Rage. So even though at this level we have 5 rages, there's a lot of cases in which you could be knocked out of that rage, or someone could kite you enough so that you can't hit or they don't attack you, and you lose that rage. This allows us to say fuck that and just rage forever. Rage all day. Who cares? And this is why I really like Persistent Rage, and it's why I've invested 15 levels into it. I feel like this is the real capstone, to me personally, of this class, is that being able to eternally rage. And with that, we're going to leave the Barbarian alone. And this is the points in which, again, I said earlier, insert this whenever you feel like it's necessary. We'll go over the class. You can then determine what's best for you. We're going to start with the War Domain Cleric because it's in a descending order. So as we can see here at first level, we decided to go with War Domain Cleric. Not for too many fancy reasons. Definitely not for spells. Not going to be casting all too many of those. Master, Great Weapon Mastery, but in the sense of where if you didn't crit or if you didn't kill something on that turn, you can still use a bonus action to continue to attack. And I really like that. We also already have the bonus action to continue to use the Storm ability, which is pretty nice. Like at 15th level, it's a 3d6, I believe, lightning damage, which comes from, again, Primal Path or whatever. But with this, I like this because within my mind, I'm at 17th level with this, right? My weapon's probably pretty dope. Probably has something really cool going on for it. And I probably want to use the weapon over that in select cases. It depends. Like, for example, right now, Yasha from Critical Role Campaign 2, she has a weapon that's able to cast Dispel Magic just all the time, which is fucking broken as hell. So maybe you have something like that where you're just trying again and again and again to break a spell. I could be speaking on my ass with that because I'm not actually sure. I've never looked up the stats for that one. Hold on. Okay, so I'm going to include this in here probably, but I'm a little bit confused. The homebrew I found on D&D Beyond says it's once a day. This, I don't particularly see it as once a day. It just says either as an attack or a separate spell. Huh. So I was only half speaking out of my ass. Anyways, moving on. Pretty useful ability. This isn't the main reason why we go into the War Domain Cleric, however. Personally, the main reason why I came into the War Domain Cleric was because I like the Channel Divinity option. Channel Divinity, we can use while raging. This does not count as a spell. It's similar to how Paladins work. So on a strike, maybe we've just missed, maybe we've or under by a lot, and we still need to hit. It could be a life or death scenario. We gain a +10 to our roll whenever we want. We get this twice a day. It's pretty nice. The other option is, of course, instead of going War Domain Cleric, possibly Vengeance Paladin. I just like thematically for myself. I like the War Domain Cleric. And of course, for the final multi-class, we're going to go into Fighter. I preferred Battle Master. Of course, there's the Champion. This would include you to improve critical. So instead of just rolling a crit on a 20, we can now crit on a 19 or 20, which is a 5% increase from what we originally were. And pretty fucking dope. But going back to the Battle Master, we gain a proficiency with a tool choice that we want, so a smith's tool choice. We also gain a fighting style, which is amazing. So at level, we can gain the great weapon fighting, roll a 1 or a 2 on a damage die, re-roll that, fuck that die. We also gain action surge, second wind. These are all amazing abilities that we didn't have. And just for 3 levels, we can gain a whole bunch of maneuvers of our choice. I like disarming attack because disarming things is good. I also like distracting strike a lot. It's probably my favorite maneuver, being able to give one of our other party members advantage on their attack whenever they go for it. And then I also really like evasive footwork personally, because even though we have a lot of health, we have a lot of AC, doesn't hurt to get a little bit more AC. This also makes it so that if you have to run through mobs and mobs of shit, that you'll be able to do it more safely. But that is situational. Of course, there are other ones, menacing attack, parry. All of these could be useful. I suggest really looking through the maneuvers of the archetype for Battlemaster, a very fun class. Of course, there is some spells that you can get here. You know, guidance, I would recommend taking that. Amazing for a role-playing experience outside. You can guide the rogue to a better lock-picking roll or some shit like that, or talk about a crazy fucking story one time and it somehow guides them into doing whatever. This is up to you. But yeah, this is the kind of the idea that I had for Thor Odinson. Mostly, I wanted to keep this very simple. I didn't want to get too power gamey. Like, this is power gamey because we get maneuvers, we get fighter abilities, we get cleric abilities. It's power gamey. Maybe not to its most extensive, but I'm not looking to power game all the time. But that's up to you. If you didn't like this, I understand. But alright, and so we're over here, and we're going to look over at the overview real quick. Pretty decent health. This is automatically rolled for me. I can't figure out how to change it right now. And again, this make-believe stat, we get +5 strength, +4 dex, +5 con, 0 to intelligence, appropriate, I feel like, +2 to wisdom, and +1 to charisma, so pretty decent. We get a whole bunch of these little skills that I really like that I would like to roleplay with animal handling and nature. The athletics, the intimidation, and the survival. It feels fitting for what I want to play. And I think I'm going to leave it at that. This character build wasn't possibly the most power gamey. Like, it's very power gamey because, you know, you do get a lot of fighter abilities like that you get from early on. You get maneuvers, you get the cleric abilities of being able to hit more often. And I really like this. It fits what I was looking for, something a bit simpler, and I hope that maybe that's something that if you're looking to get into the game and you feel like you have to multi-class, which you don't have to, this is maybe a simpler multi-class that you can do for a barbarian. So yeah, I hope that this inspired maybe someone to take something away from it and to go about and say, yeah, I kind of want to play Thor, and this is like something that I would like to do. But again, make your own backstory. Enjoy your character. As always, have a great day. Bye-bye.